What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Happy Saturday evening. Oh my. We've got a jam-packed show for you this evening. We're making a bit of a habit of this, aren't we? 10 p.m. British summertime over here in the UK. Let me know where you're watching from, as always. But there is so much going on in the takeover saga that is Manchester United's owners, the Glazers, exploring strategic alternatives. Big news and developments today, initially suggesting that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS were now the front runners to secure a takeover of Manchester United because they valued the club at a higher price than Sheikh Jassim. However, in the last maybe hour or so, and this is why we waited, it's always important to wait. This is why we waited. There has been pushback from representatives close to Sheikh Jassim as well. So we've got a lot to get into this evening. Of course, when the news came out straight away around 3 or 4 hours ago, you can go live straight away. But at the time, Mike, I don't know about you, my initial reaction was the language here is a bit odd. The language is a bit strange. And let's see how this plays out throughout the evening. Let's see what the reaction to this is. And certainly, there has been a reaction to it. So we're going to get into all of it. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive this evening. As always, we're going to get your thoughts up on the screen as well. Get your comments in, get your opinions in, get everything off your chest. This is going to be a cathartic experience, I think, for both of us this evening, because I've got some thoughts on it. I've got some feelings on it. There's a lot of, I think, guesswork and people jumping to conclusions out there this evening. According to some reports, the Glazers, they're not even paying that much attention. It's NFL draft season. They're over in Tampa Bay. They're over in Florida focusing on the Buccaneers. I don't even think they're thinking about United right now. So there's a lot to get into. So be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We've got people from all over the world watching this evening. Cabs is watching from Doncaster. Got it in South Africa as well. Malaysia, certainly as well. So there's. Let me know where you're watching from, actually. You know me. This is always my favorite thing to do. Lil Yo-Yo says, Owen, don't you sleep? Never. How can I sleep when there's Manchester United's future on the line? Oh, sleep. Sleep's for losers. Absolutely. Got India watching, Ireland, Slovakia. Absolutely, yes. So let's get into it. Let's not procrastinate any longer. Let's get into this news, the developments this evening. Right. As I mentioned, around maybe 3 or so hours ago, there were developments seemingly coming out of nowhere suggesting that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS, they were deemed as the front runners. Now, yesterday, of course, it was the third and final round bids. It was the final deadline was 10 p.m. British summertime. That's when the final bids from Sheikh Jassim and from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the bids that were really all about acquiring a majority share or acquiring the majority, not a full takeover in the case of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but certainly not a minority investment. That was the deadline for those bids yesterday, 10 p.m. We covered that yesterday. It was a lot of fun. We got into really the nitty-gritty of it yesterday evening, so appreciate everyone that joined in for that. We knew at the time that Sheikh Jassim's bid from the 9-2 Foundation from Qatar, that was a world record bid. At the time last night, and whilst we were live for an hour and 15 minutes, we didn't really hear that much about Sir Jim Ratcliffe / INEOS's bid. All that we knew is there had been reports put out there previously that suggested that one of the options on the table was that he was still looking to acquire a majority holding of United. He was still looking to acquire the majority share. He wasn't looking to acquire everything like Sheikh Jassim was. And there was a possibility that the Glazers could stick around under his ownership with him acquiring the majority, but the Glazers still having a minority share in United. That's all we knew. And then it kind of went a bit quiet. And the last thing we had heard was, you're going to have to wait a few days, wait until next week. Over the next 7 days, the Glazers, alongside the Rain Group, based out of New York, that's the banking firm that's kind of assisting the Glazers throughout this entire process, they'll decide who's the preferred bidder, and they'll go from there. So we really didn't expect to hear all that much for the next 7 days. And then, as I mentioned, this afternoon, it kind of just bang, once again, exploded into life. So this comes from Ben Jacobs. I'm going to try and do this in a linear fashion to try and give you an accurate timeline of events here. So Ben Jacobs put a really interesting and in-depth thread that I recommend you read this on Twitter, saying that there was a big twist in the Manchester United sale process. Now, he revealed that there was some confusion over Sheikh Jassim's bid for Manchester United. According to Ben Jacobs, insiders claim the 9-2 Foundation's total offer is circa £5 billion. But the number, according to this report, does not include, or the number rather does include, this is where you've got to be careful with what you say, the number includes the debt and around £0.8 billion in pledged investment. And that latter is not on top of the bid. It's part of the overall package. So the overall package, they were saying, was £5 billion. Not we're giving the Glazers £5 billion and then this extra investments on top of that. They were saying it was part of the whole deal. So to break this down a bit further, because it does get quite complicated with this, this means Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid for control of the club is significantly higher than Sheikh Jassim's, according to this report, with some sources indicating that it has been all along, suggesting throughout the entirety of this process, actually the highest bidder has always been INEOS. Now, those close to the 9-2 Foundation simply indicate that their offer, which they still say is slightly above £5 billion, is competitive and that it's normal for any group seeking a smaller investment to pay more than someone offering 100%. However, according to Ben Jacobs, this was all very significant. Although Qatar's total may appear competitive, especially compared to enterprise value of the club, which is around £3.5 billion, I think, and pledged Manchester United investment, of course, is vital. That's why we're in this process. But offering latter with this process is seen as irrelevant and essentially boosting the bid number. So what he was suggesting and what sources had been suggesting to him is that every time we had heard £5 billion, £4.5 billion, that was everything all in. That was money to the Glazers. That was money for the training ground. That was money for the stadium. That was money for the men's team, the women's team, etc. It was the entire package. And he was suggesting that when Sir Jim Ratcliffe says £5 billion, that's £5 billion to the Glazers and not the other outside investment, which they're saying is irrelevant. Now, of course, this is completely different with the Chelsea sale, where pledged investment on top of the base sale price was very important. Roman Abramovich wanted to ensure any incoming owner had the funds to support the club, not just buy it. But in this process, the pledged investment is not something the Glazers will use in their decision-making. As we had spoken about previously, the Glazers could give two shits about any kind of investment in the club, any kind of future planning for the club. They just want money. They just want cash. And thus, although planned spend is essential to Manchester United and why we're in this entire process, it's still not necessary to list it with an offer in this process. The only thing the Glazers will consider is the club valuation, which is based on 100% of the shares, with the Glazers holding 69% of them. Based on this, the 9-2 Foundation's offer, the part the Glazers will look at, is said by some sources, again, this comes from Ben Jacobs, to be closer to £4 billion because pledged investment is inclusive, not in addition. This would mean the offer would not be a world record one for a sports club, although, again, Qatar is adamant that their number is much bigger. And again, crazy. So you've now already got this miscommunication or two schools of thought. You've got one school of thought that's saying, actually, whilst Qatar is saying this is a world record bid, in actuality, it's not a world record bid because they're essentially giving £3.5 billion, something like that, to the Glazers. Whereas we have just seen recently for a NFL franchise, the Washington franchise, that's gone for around, I think, $6 billion, something like that. So that would even be a higher fee than what Qatar are willing to pay for Manchester United. However, Qatar are disputing that. It is now understood, according to Ben Jacobs, the Glazers may strongly consider an outright sale for between £4.8 billion and £5.6 billion, which is a bit lower than was often quoted, the £6 billion. So they actually have moved a little bit down when it comes to the valuation. And the Glazers still remain determined sellers for the right price, but it is indicated that the 9-2 Foundation would effectively have to add an amount similar to their pledged investment to the club valuation part of their offer to stand a realistic chance. So essentially, what he is saying there is that Sheikh Jassim and his 9-2 Foundation would still have to add an extra billion on top of his overall package that he's offering. Again, I know this is very confusing, but it's a really in-depth thread here. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid, in contrast, is solely based on the club valuation number, according to Ben Jacobs, and it's for control. His final offer is believed to be at the lower to middle end of the valuation range that the Glazers might accept. Ratcliffe also has plans to invest in Manchester United on top, but has not listed any pledged amount in his offer because, again, it is not required or deemed relevant to this process because, again, the Glazers don't care about pledged investment. They care about the money that's going to them. Obviously, pledged investment is vital in the future of the club and is required, but the Glazers don't care about it. And it's not needed to be submitted in addition to this offer because the Glazers don't care what's best for the fans. They care what's best for their wallets. Those close to Ratcliffe stress that they are under an NDA, so they can't confirm their exact bid, but it's believed to be pushing £5.1 billion, which again, according to Ben Jacobs, is in this range that's deemed acceptable. To clarify once more, when bidding a 100% club valuation, inclusive of minority shareholders, is needed, from which the Glazers would take 69% if they depart in full. In other words, a £5 billion offer from Sheikh Jassim means that they would get roughly £3.45 billion. That's what would go to the Glazers if they are to sell. They're looking for £5 billion to them exclusively. So again, that's why they're looking for around sort of £6 billion overall, because that would get them the $5 billion that they're actually looking for. Now, once again, those close to the 9-2 Foundation have always said they won't bid recklessly, but to own Manchester United, they would now have to increase their offer further if given the opportunity. We don't know if there are going to be increased bids put in. Yesterday was said to be the third and final round for these offers, and this was seemingly, according to Kaveh Solokol yesterday, the final take it and leave it offer from Sheikh Jassim. Or once again, we could enter another round, or we're entering territory we don't really know what we're getting at this point. The priority for this stage has been to focus on the two bidders wanting to buy outright or a controlling stake. It's about selling or ruling out the two groups. And if one is accepted, things could move quite fast in May because a lot of due diligence has been done already by both parties. However, if both are rejected, the Glazers can opt for a no sale or turn to strategic investors such as Carlyle, Elliott, Sixth Street, and Ares remain in the process. These are the ones that are offering maybe 1 billion, 2 billion for 20% of United or something like that. They were not privy and they were not subject to the deadline yesterday. The deadline was for the two big hitters, that being Qatar, that being INEOS. But if Jassim or Ratcliffe aren't selective, these groups may get explored once more. And finally, when it comes to the Ben Jacobs report, still nothing definitive is expected today or tomorrow. The Glazers are preoccupied, as I mentioned, with the NFL draft. They're in Florida. They're focusing on Buccaneer stuff. So don't expect to see any developments when it comes to that. So again, I know that's a lot because I thought it was a lot when I was reading it. But the wording was very, very strange. Essentially, the wording is this, is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking to buy out the Glazers' share, which is 69%. He is willing to pay £5 billion for 69% of Manchester United, whereas allegedly Sheikh Jassim is willing to pay £5 billion for everything. However, when you're paying for everything, you have to split it up. You have to, the Glazers would get the majority of it, the 69% of it, but the remaining amount of it, the extra, what is that, 21%, that would go to the other investors, or 31% rather, that would go to the other investors. So they want more money. But at the same time, you hear all that and you hear a lot of panicking because a lot of people said, well, wait a minute, does this mean that they're front runners? Mike Keegan from the Daily Mail went as far to say that because of this latest development, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe allegedly values Manchester United higher than Sheikh Jassim and the 9-2 Foundation, that made Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS front runners in this takeover process, arguably for the first time. It was reported by The Times from Matt Lawton and also from Matt Dickinson that in one proposal, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is open to Joel and Avram Glazer retaining a stake if he still has full control of United. That had been put out there previously. The Glazers own 69%. We could see a situation where maybe INEOS purchased 50%, but the Glazers still have close to 20%. They're still minority shareholders of the club. They don't really have any influence over major decisions anymore, but they still take money out every single time. For me, that's one of the worst case scenarios because you've given them a shit ton of money and they're still making more money. They're just leeching for the sake of leeching at that point. Now, according once again to this new other report from The Times, the offer from Sir Jim Ratcliffe submitted equates to more than tabled by the group led by Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, and INEOS is the only bidder reportedly to have valued Manchester United higher than £5 billion because they're suggesting that with 9-2 Foundation submitting a bid of £5 billion for everything, that doesn't actually value the club at £5 billion, if indeed that makes sense, because when you've got, and that was the thing that kind of piqued my interest because they weren't necessarily saying that INEOS had bid more than the 9-2 Foundation. They were saying, and it was very specific, they value the club more than Sheikh Jassim has. And I went, what did they mean by that? And essentially, they're doing the maths. They're saying if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is willing to pay £5 billion for 69%, that means he values the overall business higher than £5 billion. Whereas Qatar value it at £5 billion, so they're paying £5 billion. If that makes sense. So they're being very careful with their language when it comes to that. And again, it felt a bit odd. It felt a bit strange how they were referencing it. Nevertheless, lots of people ran with this. As I mentioned, it came from not only Ben Jacobs, it came from also Mike Keegan from the Daily Mail. It also came from BBC Sports. Simon Stone has just written up a piece about it about 45 minutes ago or so. So it felt like for a few hours there that we were heading in the direction of it's going to be INEOS then. It's going to be INEOS. However, things have changed maybe in the last hour or so because it's now being reported by The Telegraph that sources close to the Sheikh Jassim camp are adamant that their offer of additional capital investment to fund the redevelopment of Manchester United, Manchester United's ground, rather, Old Trafford, and Manchester United's training ground is on top of their bid to the Glazers. And they're actually bemused, they're flabbergasted by any suggestions to the contrary. So they've said to The Telegraph this evening, Sheikh Jassim's representatives, that it's all bullshit. they're saying that, no, well, that's not true. They're saying, no, that's not the case. The additional capital investment that we had promised is on top of the money that we've submitted. So the question is, who do you believe? Who do you believe and where do you sit on this? Because it's an entire back and forth. It's a saga. It's a soap opera that once again is getting out of control. And honestly, at this point, I don't know who to believe when it comes to this because we're sitting in a reality and we're living in a reality where, when was it? About a month ago, when it was round 2 of these bids going in, all of these very, very, very reputable reporters, Sky Sports News, again, Mike Keegan, Ben Jacobs, all of these people that are very reputable and very in the know, they all categorically said bids have gone in. Bids have gone in. They've been submitted. We'll see what happens. And then hours later, they said, oh, by the way, those bids that went in, they didn't go in. None of the bids have gone in. There's a deadline. They're going in tomorrow. They're going in Sunday. So we're having it again. We're having the same process over again. We know the bids have gone in, but we're getting stuff that are saying, actually, you realize that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS, they value the club higher. And you go, oh, so they've bid more. Well, no, they value the club higher. Why? Well, because technically they've bid for less, but they've bid the same price. And actually, Sheikh Jassim, his bid, that's £5 billion all inclusive. That includes developing the stadium. That includes developing the training ground. We're just offering £5 billion for the majority share, just the Glazers shareholding. But then the 9-2 Foundation are coming out and saying, no, that's on top of our bid. We're offering for everything, but we've offered more than you say that we've done. That's what we're at. We're into he said, she said territory. And as JB says there, I mean, I missed it. There you go. JB says there, no one can actually realistically discuss figures. It was kind of lost in the piece that Ben Jacobs wrote, but they're both subject to NDAs. So they can't actually say exact figures. So nobody knows exact figures. And I suppose we should be used to it at this point because this whole thing has been one giant saga, but it's just the latest development. So once again, if you are joining us, the latest is we don't know. we don't know. It's all kind of craziness. It did feel like, and honestly, I'll tell you my genuine, honest reaction to this now. When I hear from, this side of things, let's say this hand is the Sir Jim Ratcliffe INEOS hand, and this hand is the Qatari hand, the Sheikh Jassim hand. This one does feel like, or these stories that came out today felt very much like positioning. We value the club. We value the club higher. Have you bid more? We value it higher based on our bid. But have you bid more? Well, we value it higher. Do the maths. And it's like, well, But have you bid higher? And do you know for a fact? Because according to, I don't think that these reporters that are saying that, Qatar have bid, a smaller amount, not even they're kind of sort of slandering, aren't they? Really, because they're saying they're not even bidding a world record amount. It feels very much And maybe I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. Maybe I'm getting into tinfoil hat territory. Maybe I'm going into sort of conspiracy level stuff. But I don't know. It just kind of, the bit when they started saying it's not even a world record amount, you realize they haven't even bid world records. How would they know that? Because that's surely the Qatar people, they're not leaking information suggesting, oh, by the way, yeah, we ain't even bidding world record amount. No, we're not doing that. So that has to be coming from someone else. That has to be coming from a competitor, does it not? And how would they know? So it just, this takeover thing, man, it's going to age us so many years. I don't know. It feels very, very strange. And as you can imagine, the reaction to this today on social media was incredibly divisive. On the eve of a huge protest before the game tomorrow at Old Trafford, or on the way to Old Trafford, in the surroundings of Old Trafford, prior to the game against Aston Villa, where the message is very, very clear: full sale only, Glazers out. Can you imagine? Less than 24 hours before that happens, you get information coming out there suggesting that the person that could be taking over the club in Sir Jim Ratcliffe, arguably one of the proposals on the table, is keeping the Glazers around. Seriously? That's what we're doing right now? We're putting the Manchester back in Manchester United, and we're having a fan-centric approach to ownership, but we're keeping the people around that we want to get out of the club. That makes no sense to me. That flies in the face of what has been put out there previously. And I don't mean that to come off as, I'm heavy Qatari in. I'm pro Qatar, I'm pro Sheikh Jassim. No, what I'm pro is pro Glazers out. And if Sir Jim Ratcliffe won this race, and he won the race by, he purchased the Glazers majority share and the Glazers left, I'd celebrate that. Absolutely, I'd celebrate that, because that's ultimately what we're looking for. But if you're telling me, and this was my worry when I saw the news earlier today, you're telling me that he was going to purchase 50%, 55%, however it may be, but the Glazers were still going to be technically in Manchester United. That is, as Antonio Conte would say, that is unacceptable. Okay, that is we can't be doing that. We just cannot. So that's kind of the latest on this, is that this is still one giant mess. This is one giant sort of mudslinging contest, I feel like. I don't think anyone at this stage truly knows the real facts of the situation, because from what I've seen, I still have yet to see, the likes of Kabe Solokol come out and say anything. I haven't seen Sky Sports News come out and saying anything, because, again, when that information came out earlier today, people did jump on it. But I think now you've got other people saying, oh, actually, no, Qatar are denying this. It's now a case of who do you believe? And that's fascinating too. Lux Hill says it's the new member of the UV Members Club, but he's got a blue badge. So I don't know how new that is. But of course, Lux Hill is a long-time member, moderator, OG here on the channel. So shout out Lux Hill. Remember, you can get your super chats in and get your likes up as well. We're currently at over 1,100 people watching on a Saturday night. I was saying to Flex earlier on, I like these 10 p.m. streams. I like these sort of late night therapy. We used to do a show in the early days of United View called the Late Night View. But the problem is they were never really late night views. They were at like 6 o'clock over here. So they weren't that really late night views, especially in the summer. It's still bright outside. How can you call it late night view? But I do like these 10 p.m. streams, especially because, as I said earlier on, it's very easy when this stuff comes out at like 6 o'clock just to be like, let's go live. Let's go to react to it and all that kind of stuff. But the language at the time that was being used, as I said, felt odd and it felt strange. It felt very specific is what they were doing, because they were heavily stressing that INEOS valued Manchester United higher than Sheikh Jassim, which you can take it a variety of different ways, can't you? You can take that many ways. Do they mean monetarily? Do they mean morally? Do they mean in terms of knowing what the fans want? I don't know. So, again, I found that very, very interesting as well. As Splashnet says, 10 p.m., you do get the full picture. You kind of see what the facts are throughout the entirety of the day and kind of make up your decision on it at the time. But ultimately, as I said, we're still not going to know, I don't think, anything for the next 7 days as well. Therapy view, as Lux Hill says. Exactly. bit of therapy view. Let's see what else some of you guys are saying too. Amir says, what you think Carve is more reliable than Matt Dickinson? Are you okay, Owen? I'm fine. No, my point being with that is I'm not questioning people's reliability. I'm just saying that this has been par for the course of this entirety of this takeover process, is whenever there is a big development in this story, in this saga, about an hour or so later, we get another story from just as a reliable person that's entirely contradictory. And that's what we've got today. You would have thought, honestly, and I'm just as flip-floppy as the next guy. Don't you worry about me. You would have thought at 6 p.m. today that the deal was done. You would have thought that INEOS had done it. Sir Jim Ratcliffe had done it. I mean, again, Mike Keegan, we can actually get his article up, actually, saying that he was the front runner. And that's why we put it on the thumb, front runner, because that's how he was described earlier on today. And now I don't know if he's if he's the front runner anymore. And what it really truly does, I think, too, is speaking of obviously what's going to happen tomorrow prior to the game, I think it just adds more fuel to the fire when it comes to this. You know, we've had a successful season so far, and obviously it can still be even more successful. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get the top four. We've won a trophy. Who knows what will happen with the FA Cup final? Clearly, we're the big underdogs in that game. But you never know. We've had a successful season. There is a launching pad to build off for next season. And if we have a successful summer and a good summer, a proactive summer, and we get the targets and we back the manager with the players that he wants, who knows what we can achieve next season? I'm not saying win a title, but I'm saying certainly be better and more consistent than we have this year. And yet again, you've got this madness, political game of succession in the background. That's because of the ownership. And, you know, after however many years, 18 years of this, enough is enough. Finally, they've budged. Finally, they're exploring a sale. But once again, it's becoming a farce. It really has been farcical. And I understand at this level, when we're talking about this amounts of money, things do get pretty dirty and things do get pretty messy. But I mean, every step, every round, I almost sympathize with some of the people that have been involved in this process from a bidding point of view, because they're having to deal with people that are, frankly, you could argue they're good businessmen because they're making a lot of money, but they're businessmen via failure, you know? So they're dealing with people that are completely incompetent and people that they cannot trust, because you have no idea who even knows at this stage what the Glazers' true ambitions actually are. Do they even want to sell the club? You know, are they still, I mean, it's in the name, exploration of strategic alternatives. Are they still looking for lifelines? You know, some people have speculated it's just about driving up the stock price to get a loan to help them with certain capital in the club. There's a game, as I mentioned, of succession with their siblings, 4 of whom won out, 2 want to stay. They're looking for money to buy them out, and then maybe they'll sell it in a couple of years. There was a theory that was going around earlier today that Sir Jim was going to buy 50% and give the Glazers still a minority shareholding. Then in a couple of years' time, he was going to buy them out. But again, that's not been reported anywhere. This is all just guesswork, because this is what it is. It's all just guesswork, and it's all just pure chaos. And I don't know, today did feel like, in retrospect, again, now that we have kind of both sort of sides-ish, it does kind of feel like, doesn't it, of both camps, I suppose, trying to establish themselves as favorites without the entirety of facts of the others. I don't honestly, I throw my hands up with it. I really do. We've got a couple of super chats here, so let's see if these come in. First, one is a members chat, actually. Let me get to that one first. Dima's been a member for 9 months. 9 months of support. Appreciate that. That's how long it takes to have a child. And the child that you've given birth to is support of United View membership. That was a bit of a weird analogy. It's late. Saying lots of revisionism and verbal gymnastics after that gym announcement. I see people leaning towards the local lad still, but want a full sale, ? Well, as I've mentioned, again, it's just nothing is official and nothing is confirmed. So you have to take everything with a pinch of salt when it comes to him. But particularly, and we did a video earlier this week, I think it was a morning view that Flex and myself did, when that news first came out, that one of the potential scenarios that was on the table, that Sir Jim and INEOS had allegedly offered the Glazers was, hey, we'll give you like £5 billion for the majority shareholding of United, but we'll keep you around. You can still have a minority ownership in the club. You can still have 10%, 20%, something like that. We'd still be in control. We'd still be determining everything and have the final call on a day-to-day basis, but you can still make money. And again, like I said this yesterday, I think as fans, we've come to terms with the fact that the Glazers are going to be made filthy rich from this entire process, and they don't deserve it. I mean, talk about, again, failing yourself so much, or failing and becoming a billionaire. I wish I could do that. I wish I could fail consistently over the course of a decade plus, or nearly 2 decades, and end up becoming a billionaire because of it. Wouldn't it be nice? Oh, it'd be fantastic. I mean, I've seen people, again, suggest that the Glazers are good businessmen because they purchased the club on debt and now they're going to be made billionaires, going, wow, the one thing you can't argue, they're good businessmen. They're not good businessmen, okay? The only thing they're good at is making money for themselves, not for their business, because they're not making money for their business. The business is dry. The business is empty. There's no money left in the business. That's not a good businessman. You know, they're good at making money for themselves, but that's it. And frankly, they didn't even make that deal in the first place to purchase Manchester United. That was their father. That was Malcolm Glazer, along with the help of Ed Woodward. That's how Ed Woodward came into Manchester United in the first place as well. People forget that. The reason Ed Woodward even came into Manchester United is because he helped Malcolm Glazer take over Manchester United way back when. And as a thank you, he came in on the commercial side and worked his way up to chief executive. And we know how that went. So the Glazer children had nothing to do with that, really. They were around, obviously. I'm sure they supported their father in that process. But they got gifted the club when he passed. And now, again, they just carried on the work of, let's just take money out of it. We're not putting any money in. They haven't put any money in for over a decade. All they've done is take money out. And that's the biggest bugbear of mine. And you see it from opposition fans. Most of them are trolls. But you see it all the time when they say, what are you complaining for about the Glazers? Look how much money you've spent over this period of time. Why are you complaining? We're complaining because it's not their money. Think how well we could have done if they actually put money into the club, if they actually invested in the stadium. And people didn't notice it in real time because time happens so slowly that you don't notice it in real time. It's been a couple of years since they put any money in. When was the last time they did anything to the stadium? It's been a couple of years. I'm sure it'll get done eventually. Well, time creeps on and it catches up with you. And when it does catch up to you, you find yourself in the situation that you're in now, where nothing's been done to the stadium in God knows how long. Again, well over a decade. We haven't won a Premier League title in a decade. Nothing's been done to the training ground since they moved from the Cliff. That was in the late 90s. What else is going on? Meanwhile, our local rivals in the city have got better facilities and won the title, was it 4 out of the last 5 years? That's gone on under the Glazers' watch. We're not successful anymore. We make money, but again, not even really for the club, for the owners. So they're not good businessmen. They're not. They've just happened to fail and they bled the well dry to the point where it's bone dry at this point and they're thinking, right, maybe we should get out. In all actuality, they don't even want to get out. They don't want to. If they could find a way, and this is the worrying thing, if they can find a way to stick around and bail themselves out, then they'll stay. Because they're not wrong when they say on the horizons, even more money coming into the Premier League. They know that. They're not dumb in that aspect, but don't call them good businessmen because they ain't. They are not good businessmen. They know how to make themselves money, but they don't know how to make the company money or anything like that. And again, you've got this situation. And my long-winded point with this is that I feel myself as a fan, I've almost come to peace with the fact that they are going to be made filthy rich by this takeover process. And it's almost a necessary evil. If this is what it takes, you have to pay off the devil that they leave, fine. But can you imagine they get filthy, stinking rich from this? They get made billionaires. Every single Glazer sibling gets made a billionaire and they're still involved with the club. They can still leech off the club. When it makes money with its new owner, they're still there. They're still leeching. That's not the perfect scenario. That's almost one of the worst case scenarios. I don't know what's worse, them staying and still being in majority of control, or them staying, not being in majority control and just leeching because they could care even less about United. That's not right. So when I hear that was an option, I was furious. I was furious with it. But again, whether or not that's true, I don't know. Hayden with a super chat says, it feels like United fans came together today and chose Qatar. People had obvious concerns, but versus Glazers staying, most decided against Sir Jim. Dima also says, someone in the comments said they're against sports washing, so Jim all the way. That's fine, but how do you compete with 90 plus points to win the Premier League? And Red Baron says, usually doing a deal with the devil means you get something in return, though. Yeah, exactly. And we're not sort of getting that much in return as well. Let me put a poll in the chat as well. And whilst I'm doing that, be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Again, we've got over 1,100 people watching, which is great for a Saturday evening show. Appreciate you all choosing to join in this evening and get your comments in. We'll get your comments up on the screen as well. I'll choose some from our members and from the free seats in just a second. But be sure to smash a like on the like button. Let's get to 500 likes. I think we can do that pretty quickly this evening. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Again, I was going to do a poll. So what questions shall I put in? After today's developments, who do you think will win the takeover race? That's a long question. Let's just put who will win the takeover race? Question mark. Is it going to be Sir Jim / INEOS, or is it going to be Qatar? Poll is up. Poll is in the chat. Let me know your thoughts, your votes as well. Whilst we're live, actually, as well, I've just seen that the second half of the press conference has also been released ahead of tomorrow's game, so we can comment on that as well. This is what I like about these sort of late night streams. We're not even stuck with, we're not even stuck with the hour. We can just stay as long as we want. So we can do that as well. Let's see what you guys are saying. So some people are saying that they think Qatar. Let's see what else we've got. Splashnet saying here, Sir Jim, unfortunately, or one of those investment groups saying that Splashnet thinks that Sir Jim might win. What else have we got here? Austin Baker, one of our members, says, do you think the WWE deal has made them increase the price based on how much the merger and stuff? No, I think, again, they're looking for a world record fee. We know that. And when you look at, for instance, the NFL team, what is it? Is it the Washington Commanders? I think they're called. They changed the name a few years ago. I think it's the Washington Commanders, and there might be some people watching from the US or North America that might know better than I with this. But I had heard that basically, is it a $6 billion deal to sell the Washington or purchase the Washington Commanders has been agreed, which they'll be looking at that. Of course, they're involved in the NFL, the Glazers, and they'll be saying, well, United's worth way more than that. And to be honest, they're right in that aspect. United is worth more than that. So if, and it's a big if that story about, the Qataris not paying a world record amount, they would surely go look at that and say, no, that can't. United's worth way more. They're one of the biggest global sporting franchises ever. So, but again, I don't believe that story. I just don't. I think that for me, that suggesting that Qatar this entire time haven't been putting in world record fees and they've essentially been inflating it by putting in the investment they're going to be doing after the fact on the top as part of their package, that to me feels something like a hit piece, honestly. That feels like trying to sort of drum up a bit of, you realize this whole time that they haven't actually been that serious. Because let's face it, and I don't think it is, but if that was true, if Qatar this whole time had actually been bidding to the Glazers £3.5 billion, but they'd been inflating it to 5 billion or what have you, with saying how much they were going to add to the stadium and the training ground or whatever, then they weren't serious. They weren't serious this entire time because they knew what the Glazers wanted. They knew the Glazers are looking for 6 billion quid. So why would you offer essentially half, knowing that your competitor is most likely going to offer 4.5 to 5 billion pounds for just a controlling stake? It's illogical. That's why it makes no sense. So again, when I saw that stuff earlier today, I went, but they wouldn't, surely they would know that's not going to get the job done. Surely Qatar and Sheikh Jassim and the 92 Foundation would know that bid is not going to be accepted, because all they're going to look at, they'll literally, if there's a breakdown, they'll go, how much is going to us? Which number's going to us? 3.5 billion. They'll go, throw it away. No chance, but we want 6. But they'd know that. They're involved in the process. They're negotiating with the Rain Group. Of course they would know that. So again, I struggle to believe that one, honestly. I do. Doom was also gifted one United View membership. Big up Doom as well. And it's gone to Splashnet. Splashnet is the latest member of the UB Members Club as well. Big up yourself. And as I mentioned, we're still at only 263 likes. Now, I don't even know if I got this. This used to be in the back end. This is here. That can happen. That can happen. And in this territory, I mean, he's not here yet. He's not here yet, but he could. He could arrive. And you know what happens when Mr. Phelan gets on the screen? The likes have to go up. And you know, we could end up having technical issues because Mr. Phelan, he can hack in. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say him too often because who knows? Who knows what he's capable of? That's a warning. That's a warning as well. I do want to read the piece from Mike Keegan that he wrote for the Mail, because again, this is kind of where the headline comes from of suggesting that Sir Jim and INEOS were the front runners. So he had wrote earlier today, Sir Jim Ratcliffe appears to have stolen a march on his Qatari rival in the battle for Manchester United after, and again, this is the key part of this, valuing the club higher. Not necessarily bidding higher, but valuing higher. Mail Sport understands that Ratcliffe's firm INEOS have made an offer that would see United priced at more than £5 billion. Ratcliffe wants to buy either 69% of the Premier League giants or slightly more than 50% should the Glazer brothers Joel and Avram wish to stay in what would be a controversial move. That's putting it effing lightly, Mike, by the way, which was reported previously. On Friday, those close to Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani said his offer had broken the £5 billion barrier with the pledge of substantial additional funding. However, those with knowledge of the process, which is being run by US merchant bank Rain Group, say that is not the case and that INEOS actually values the club higher. But once again, doesn't say bid higher, values it higher. See what I mean? You have to be very, very careful with, and you have to read it a few times because the language used is very, very, very sneaky, in my opinion. It values the club higher. Have they bid higher? We value it higher. Have you bid higher? Well, we value it higher. And again, you've got people in the know. Well, who are these people? Obviously, they're not going to come out and say who they are. You never reveal your sources. But who are these people? Suggesting that, oh, actually, we value it higher. And the Qatari people haven't actually made world record bids. You know, it's all a lie. But then you've also got the Qatari people coming out saying that's not true. Now, Mike Keegan continues by saying such a contradiction is not new in this long-running saga that has been developing since United were put up for sale in November. Following an earlier deadline, both Qatari and Ratcliffe groups claimed to have submitted offers only for it to emerge that they actually asked for an extension. Honestly, I'm reading this so much, it's making me nearly burp. Through vomiting, yes. The final bids were submitted ahead of Friday's 10 p.m. deadline. It is now over to the Glazers with the selection of a preferred bidder and subsequent exclusivity period thought to be around a week to 10 days away. While technically Sheikh Jassim has offered more money because he wants to buy 100% of the club, this development may harm his chances. It is also understood that INEOS's valuation has been higher than that of Sheikh Jassim throughout the whole process. So it's all been a lie. It's all been a lie, folks. It's all been rubbish. This whole time, you know, this whole time where they were saying that everyone was saying that Sheikh Jassim's bid is higher and the 9-2 Foundation's bid is higher and he's offering more money and has got deeper pockets and they're very, very confident that they will be the preferred bidder. It's all been a lie this whole time, according to people in the know, which again feels very much like it might come from people that maybe, I don't know, have an INEOS payslip, maybe. I don't know. And also, the whole idea of when you start saying, you know, people within the know kind of gets completely underwritten when you use the example of, also, we thought bids had gone in previously and they hadn't. So nobody really truly knows. The Glazers also have a number of other offers for investment in exchange for partial stake from a number of US-based groups. Such a cash injection of between £1 billion and £2 billion would allow them to redevelop Old Trafford or build a new stadium and transform the club's training ground. Would it do anything to the debt? No. But once again, if you are just joining us, you would hear that news. And if you're, you know, a Sir Jim fan, then you would be rejoicing. If you're pro-Qatari in terms of them taking over Manchester United, all of this stuff that's been put out there has been immediately refuted from Sheikh Jassim and the 19 Foundation. Sources close, once again, this comes from the Telegraph. Sources close to Sheikh Jassim's camp are adamant that their offer of additional capital investment to fund redevelopment of Old Trafford and Manchester United's training ground is on top of their bid to the Glazers and are bemused by any suggestions to the contrary. So they're suggesting no. This narrative that's out there that's suggesting that we're offering like 3.5 billion pounds and then all that money on top of it is, you know, stuff that's going to be done after the fact. No, that's not the case. That's on top of what we're doing, which, to be honest, then you would argue that their whole package would then be like 6 billion pounds, because if they're suggesting that their bid is still the highest bid, then they're seemingly saying that it's 5 billion pounds for the Glazers' majority and an extra amount of money to the remaining shareholders, and then that money is on top to invest in the stadium and in the training ground as well. See what some of you guys are saying here. Palmerius, one of our members, says, big up everyone. Big up yourself. Appreciate you joining us this evening too. Hash says, Owen, can you clarify if the Qatar bid includes all shares or just the 69% owned by the Glazers? Well, from what we have seen previously, Hash, it's to buy everything. But again, we don't know the breakdowns. And this is kind of the problem involved in all of this too, is that the real finer details and the more important details, we don't know. And to be honest, no one really knows apart from the Glazers, apart from the Rain Group, apart from Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And two of them, they can't talk about it. You know, they can have people close to the bids talk to journalists, which are what they're doing, but it feels like what they're doing is talking about the other side as opposed to themselves. And also what it feels like they're doing is trying to, I don't know, curry favor with the fan base, maybe a little bit. But if the stuff that came out about Sir Jim and INEOS earlier today was an attempt to curry favor with the United fan base, I would argue it backfired massively, because what they tried to do is suggest that the Qatar bid was never a world record fee, that essentially they were messing us around from the beginning, and that, again, look at the phrasing, the terminology used, they value the club more than the other people in the race do. And I think maybe they thought that that would win favor from United fans by going, look at them. They want to get it done. They value United higher than everyone else. Yes, it is worth it. Good for them. But in reality, everyone looked at it and saw kind of through it and went, no, you kidding me? And again, because at the same time, you're saying you value the club more. But if you valued the club as much as you say you do, you wouldn't keep the Glazers around. How can, again, I always go back to that first press release that came out with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS. And again, I don't know if the Glazers would stick around. But if that scenario does come to be true, and the Glazers stick around, even in a minority ownership situation, with Jim Ratcliffe being the majority owner and him being in control of United, then he has started out with a lie already. Because that first press release that was from him, that was from INEOS, said that they were going to have a fan-centric approach to ownership. Any fan-centric approach does not include the Glazers. Putting the Manchester back in Manchester United does not include the Glazers having any kind of ownership situation, even if it's minority in Manchester United. That's not a British bid. Does not include having our previous owners involved. Those buzzwords that they used before, as I said the other day, the biggest buzzword you can use with that then is bullshit, because that's a lie from the start. Now, again, don't know if that's completely accurate or true, but if that does end up happening, we're already built on a lie. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And it will be, I don't know how I would even feel in that process, honestly, because yes, it's kind of like getting a bike for Christmas, isn't it? I want a bike for Christmas. Mum, Dad, can you get me a bike for Christmas, please? Okay, we'll get you a bike for Christmas. And then you open it on Christmas Day. You've got a bike, but it's not the one you wanted, and it's shit, and the wheels fall off straight away. And you go, well, I got a bike. I technically got what I wanted. You know, I technically got what I asked for, in that I have a bike there, but it's completely fallen apart and it doesn't have any wheels anymore. And they go, yeah, but we got your bike. And you go, well, yeah, I guess so, on a technicality, but I can't ride around on it. And everyone's going to laugh at me, because they'll ask me what I got for Christmas. And I'll say, that over there. And they'll go, what's that? That's my bike. They go, don't have any wheels on. And it's all rusty. They tried. You know, it's not the same, is it? And realistically, from the beginning, from the very start, even before Manchester United was up for sale, even before the statement was put out there about exploring strategic alternatives, what is the hashtag? What has been written on banners? What has been sung at Old Trafford and pretty much every away ground that Manchester United fans have been to over the last nearly 2 decades? Glazers out. It wasn't Glazers, well, take them away from majority control, but they can stick around for a little bit. It wasn't Glazers minority control. It wasn't Glazers maybe have a few, less shares in the organization. No, it's Glazers out, leave, go, shoo, you're done. And I also saw people today almost trying to justify it, saying, well, maybe it'll be a beginning sort of situation where eventually he'll buy them out. I don't want them being at the club any longer than is necessary. I don't want that at all. No, none of this. Well, it's a process, step by step. No, go, shoo, go away. Your time is up. It's done, over. It's just that is such a worry of mine. Again, it's very simple. I don't know how they can misunderstand 2 words, which is Glazers out. I don't understand how they can not understand that or not interpret that correctly. Again, it's not Glazers in a little bit. It's not Glazers out, kind of. But, it's not kicking the Glazers out the house, but they're sleeping in the shed still. That's still on your property. No. Go. No partial. No, thank you. Out. And it's just the stress, isn't it? And I hope tomorrow that the process is effective. Of course, I hope it's peaceful, and I think it will be, because I think it's beyond that. But I hope that's effective. Again, not that the Glazers particularly care; they don't. And even that, if let's say hypothetically that big piece that we were reading earlier from Mike Keegan and Ben Jacobs, let's say it did come from people within, Sir Jim's camp or INEOS's camp, they kind of throw the Glazers under the bus anyway, because they essentially say, the Qatar bids are only really bidding £3.5 billion to the Glazers, and then the rest of it is all stuff that's on top of it, and the Glazers don't care about that. So adversely, in that sort of piece, they've said, the Glazers, they don't care about United. They don't care about investment in the club. They don't care about investment in the stadium. They don't care about investment in the training ground. All they care about is their pockets. So again, if that was something that had been put out there to win favor with the fans, I just think it's completely tone deaf, honestly. I really do. It's nuts. It really is. Let's have a look at the poll as well. So poll's been in there about 15 minutes. We've got over 500 votes, which, by the way, guys, I hate to be someone that repeats myself, even though I do that a lot in these streams, these solo ones in particular. But if you look in the poll's only been up 15 minutes, right? You know what these numbers are? This is very Glazonomics numbers going on this evening. Poll's been up 15 minutes. We've got over 500 votes. We have been live for 52 minutes, and we've only got 327 likes. Now, the UV community is better. Good is not good enough. Take example from Erik ten Hag, okay? Good is not good enough. 16 minutes, over 500 votes. 52 minutes, only about 300 likes. That means click the like button if you didn't know, in OWEN sign language. Do I have to do that? What if I make you I got an idea what I can do. I think the best way always to get anything you want in life is bribery. So I will make the UV community a deal here. In the remaining few minutes of this show, the remaining few minutes of this Saturday night late night view stream, late night therapy, let me know actually also as well, let me know a name, what we're going to call these ones, even if it's not officially the name, if it's not in the title, the name of the fabled 10 p.m. stream that you never know when it's going to come. It's not a regular thing. If we hit, I'm saying higher than 500. I don't care. If we hit 750, likes, then on the screen, we can have a couple of options. We can have either KG with hair, which is always a fan favorite. We can have Only Flex and Veg Horses, which is Flex, myself, and KG as the guys from Only Fools and Horses. We can have Marcel looking at the Dubravka picture with Marcel's face on Wolverine's body, which, by the way, if you say it out loud, if you say it out loud, it's kind of crazy. If we get to one of those likes, we can have one of those pictures. But the question is, which picture do you want if we get there? I don't know. Do we want only Flex and Veg horses? Do we want KG with hair? Or do we want the Marcel with the Dubravka picture? I'm a big fan of the Marcel with the Dubravka picture, I must say. That's always a favorite of mine. Splashnet says in property therapy sessions. Lux Hill says therapy view, definitely the name. Jedi Pyro says call it the 750 likes show minimum. I like that. Definitely. Lots of people saying if we get to 750, we'll put up the Marcel looking at the Dubravka picture. That's if we get to that. And also, I tell you what, not only that, right? Double whammy, okay? Saturday night. Screw Saturday night television. Saturday night television over here in the UK has gone in the bin. It's awful. Now, I remember growing up, Harry Hill's TV burp. Oh, it's tremendous. Before that, I used to watch Even Framed. I had a lovely Saturday most of the time. If we get to 750, we'll get Marcel looking at the Dubravka picture. If we get to 1,000 likes whilst we're live, then we can play the clip, which is, it's historic here on the channel. It's myself screaming Panenka during the World Cup penalty shootout. Now that's, I mean, it hasn't been seen for a while. It hasn't been heard of for a while, but I do know it is here. It's in the back end of what I'm working on this evening. If we get to 1,000 likes, then we will play that clip before we wrap up the show. Now that's a teaser. That's a bribe. That's not bad. But we got to get to 1,000 first. You know, we're not even at 750. So maybe we get nothing. Yeah. Maybe we get nothing this evening. Also, as well, whilst I'm live, I might as well have a look at this. Let's see if I can find the quotes from the second half of the press conference, because I know part 2 of the press conference has come out. Let's see if I can find this. I don't want to watch the video. Is there a transcript that I can find? See if anyone's put that up on social media, because that would be good to look at too, wouldn't it, as well? Oh, here we go. We've got some quotes as well. I also saw, by the way, Ahmad. I saw Ahmad waving goodbye to the Sunderland fans today, because, of course, it's is it their last home game or something like that? I feel like it might be. Cassie says the Bear Like show, tremendous. Yeah. Lil Yo says yes. Panenka, like the vid. I mean, bribery works. It does. So yes, we're currently at 450, so we're miles off, you know, and I'll draw a line in the sand. I won't play it. You know, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh yeah, no, I just won't do it. We'll end it. I'll go full Jurgen Fleck. You know, we won't hear Panenka's it ever. A couple of Ten Hag quotes. This is quite interesting, actually. So I guess this comes from the second half of the press conference. So Erik Ten Hag was asked if a new number 9 will be his priority in the summer. And he said, quote, yeah, I think everyone knows it's not a secret that over the whole season, we've had a shortage of number 9. So Ten Hag confirming that the number 9 will be his priority in the summer. So, I mean, the people inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium were actually cheering it at Harry Kane, weren't they? Saying, Harry Kane, will see you in June. And then Harry Kane was asked as well, wasn't he? He was asked, did you hear what they were chanting? And he said, oh, yeah, I heard them, you know, but I was focusing on the game. He heard him. He heard him. He didn't say, he could have said, yeah, I heard him, it's all nonsense. He didn't say that. He continued, Ten Hag, by saying the typical number 9, Rashford, can also play very good as the typical number 9, Rashford, can also play very good as number 9. Anthony Martial is a great number 9. We have players who can play in that role, but definitely we need some offensive players who are really impact players, quality players who improve the front line. So basically, look, Erik Ten Hag's come out in his press conference there, said, yeah, we're going for number 9. That's what we're aiming for in the summer. We're looking for a striker. Now, again, who that striker is, whether that is Harry Kane or whether that is Victor Osimhen, we still don't know. But I don't know. I think is I don't want to start on the Harry Kane stuff again, because, you know, it's late. and we could end up going for another half an hour if I keep talking about Harry Kane. But I do feel like that one is possible. I do, but I understand the reluctance to get into negotiations with Daniel Levy, because if you get into negotiations with him, it's going to be never ending. It really is. And with all of that stuff going on in the background with this takeover stuff, who knows if we'll even be able to commit to spending over 100 million on a striker or something like that. I'm not sure if we will. Jedi Pyro says, Kane put on a good audition, but Osimhen looks like a good prospect. Both would be the dream. I saw something this evening. I don't know if you saw this. Serie A is really tight when it comes to the top four. I saw Tammy Abraham score a last minute, what Roma thought was a winner. It was in like the 91st minute, 92nd minute, something like that. And then AC Milan essentially went up the other end and equalized. Oh, what a game. And Serie A actually, apart from, it's weird, Serie A, the title race in Serie A is, I mean, long gone. Napoli have won the league, essentially. I'm not sure mathematically, but they've basically done it. But the top four race is really close, like really tight. And it's very, very, very good. See what the lights are looking at. Wow. It looks like, guys, we're not getting Panenka, the Panenka video. We're not getting Marcel with the Dubravka picture. Because we're less than 50 likes away from 500, but we're a long way off. We're a long way off 1,000. So I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I'll have to lower the standards a little bit. If we get to 500, maybe we can get to Marcel and the Dubravka picture. Maybe if we get to 750, maybe if we get to 750, I can do the Panenka video. But seems unlikely this evening. Meanwhile, the poll, which has been going 25 minutes, has got over 700 votes. I don't know. The maths ain't mathing. Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense. But one bit of maths that is mathing in the poll is that the question was, who will win the takeover race? And Qatar has 79%. Exactly. No, I agree. Scandalous. It's a crime that we don't have 750 or 1,000 likes. I agree. The police are on the way. The Qatar have 79% of the poll, and Sir Jim / INEOS have 21%. So there you go. I mean, I've 25 likes. 25 likes away. Disgrace cheats. No likes, no video. It's Flashnet says apparently people's fingers are broken. It seems. It's just, it's not good. It's not good. Pyramid Scheme says, chat didn't like your Ratcliffe propaganda. We boycotting the likes. Ratcliffe propaganda? What, me? How dare you? How dare you? I will not take that accusatory tone. It's a disgrace. It's a cheat. You know what? I'll be nice. Okay. I know I said that I wouldn't do this, but if we get to 500, I'll play Panenka and we'll get out of here. Okay. It's been a long evening. It's been a long week. And tomorrow it's a big game. I don't even really want to think that much about tomorrow, honestly, because I'm a bit nervous. I think that's going to be a really tough game. Aston Villa at the moment are playing really, really well. I know it's at home, which is a positive for us, but still, I don't know. Ian, I can't get the thing up on the screen. Oh, wait a minute. This is breaking news. I might have Mr. Phelan on the phone. Yes. Mr. Phelan.
Yeah, I'm not liking this. A minute ago, you was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a hard guy. I'm not giving you anything." And I'm just sitting here in HR, and I'm like, "What? Don't drop the numbers. What? Don't give them nothing.
The problem is I set the bar too high clearly, because I said 1,000, and then I clocked that I might have to be live for like 3 more hours to get.
Yeah, I know that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, you set the thing at thing, but 750 they get Panenka. They're not going to get 750. Yeah, they can click in the poll, but they can't click the likes. They're absolutely disgraces and cheats.
Well, the poll now officially, the poll's been up 27 minutes. Yeah, and there is 758 votes in the poll. That is proof. That is proof that it can be done. That's clicking a button.
Yeah, of course.
That's clicking a button. And the likes, we're just about to hit 500 now. There's still over 1,000 people watching. So you can get to 750, and maybe we can get Panenka. And it comes out on special occasion.
I don't believe in them.
Do you not believe?
I don't believe in this community.
Are you challenging them?
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
Prove me wrong. When has Mike Phelan ever been wrong? Yeah, I got us to second in the league with Ollie as manager.
Yeah, that's true.
When have I been wrong?
Yeah, that's true. You know, we're currently at 507.
These are the facts.
Still
These are the facts.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, 500. You can give them the Marcel. You can give them the Marcel.
It's on the screen now. But look, then you see my green screen's all crap. I didn't think it through.
Well, it is what it is. You know, sometimes we don't think before we make these decisions, but you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, poor Dubravka.
Yeah.
I told him not to sign him.
And you know what the worst thing is that he's technically higher than us in the league at the moment.
I know. Do you know what the doubly worst thing is?
What?
Do you know how they signed him?
How?
Right. So apparently, like, I was like, yeah, we're looking for keepers, whatever.
Oh, was you?
And then, yeah, I was looking for keepers, and then my guy came to me and he said, "Oh, do you know what? This guy, I went to Newcastle, looked really good in the warm up.
Yeah.
Glazers went good enough for us. Bought him.
Really?
Bought him in. Yeah.
It was a Glazer thing. It wasn't. I didn't even have the Marcel thing on the screen that long because I'm kind of like, well, bare minimum. Good is not good enough.
Oh yeah, not good enough. Get it off. Put me back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, you are back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back on. You're back on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's a bit of a downer, the show now, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was looking forward to getting a bit of that Qatari money, fam, and now
yeah,
I'm only going to get a fractional amount of that.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. I've heard the reason why maybe that Sir Jim is, you know, the favourite now, or maybe the front runner, is because you were actually leading negotiations.
Well, don't believe everything you read.
That's true. Very true. That's what I've been saying for the last hour and 5 minutes.
These are the facts.
Yeah.
These are the facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work for Mike, then I'm not going to give it a like. Yeah.
No Mike.
Like
no Mike. No like. So
yeah.
That
there
works.
You go.
Yeah, that works. Well, cheers,
right,
Mike.
I've got to get back to business. I've
Yeah.
got a protest to barricade for tomorrow.
Of course.
So
yeah,
you know, got to get in the bunker.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for giving us a call.
No worries, mate.
Yeah.
HR out.
Yeah. Bye, Mike. So that's good end to the show, isn't it? Good end to the show. And you know what? He's right. I'm not going to do it. We're currently at 525 in terms of the likes, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I'm going to read out these super chats, and then I'm leaving. Yeah, and I'm not coming back until tomorrow, which is when, you know, contractually obligated to come back. Nathan with a super chat says, Owen, what I want to see is more famous Owen receipts on the guys. Don't you worry. Okay, I've got a big folder. I've got an old school, one of those old school metal folders. You know, those massive ones that they used to have in the corner of a room with lots of paperwork, unnecessary paperwork. That's where all the receipts are kept on everyone. Yeah, that's in the corner of the room and also in my mind. That's where the receipts are kept. And don't worry, I've got several. You've got to. DJ G says, Sir Jim Ratcliffe put this out about Qatar because of the Glazer heat. That's why I put it out as well. So there you go. And I think we're currently up to we're caught up with the super chats. But there you go, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. No Panenka. It's a shame. It's a shame. Maybe next time. You've got to learn your lesson. Yeah, got to learn your lesson. Like Sir Jim, learn your lesson. Anyway, hope you have a good show ended up on a bit of a flat note, didn't it? Hope you have a good Saturday. Tomorrow, match day, of course. So, of course, Manchester United versus Aston Villa. There'll be full match day settings. There will be a road trip. Flex will be on his way to Old Trafford, giving his thoughts on the game, previewing the game. We'll have a match view as well. KG is going to be back in the studio, along with Mina and others. So they'll be there. They'll be guiding you through the game. There'll be fan views from outside the ground, inside UVHQ as well. There's also going to be a special post show tomorrow as well. Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot going on, and as always with this takeover situation, it's going to be a really big week in the world of Manchester United. So if there's any updates or any news stories, we'll cover them here. We'll be going live, morning shows, etc. As well as actually thinking about it is, you never know, this might become a regular. If you like the 10 p.m. show, let us know in the comment section below, because this channel is for you, the UV community. It's all about you. So there you go, guys. Hope you have a great Saturday. I'm out of here. Hope you have a great weekend, a bank holiday weekend here in the UK too. I'm out of here, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.